Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. All right, enough of my crazy singing. Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to talk about this sweater that I made. So if you'd like to hear it, no, we are going to talk about all of the books that I have read in the month of November. And there were actually only 4 of them, but I feel like they were all kind of like heavy hitters. So if you would like to hear about my sweater and all of the books that I read in the month of November, here you go. So these are in no particular order. I'm just going to talk about them as they go. And I was using an empty bag of gummy bears as a bookmark. Anyway, so Down the River Unto the Sea by Walter Mosley. This was a book of his that I had never heard of. And it is a mystery. It's about Joe King Oliver. He is ex-NYPD. He was framed for something, ended up at Rikers. It drove him kind of crazy, and now he's a private investigator. And it kind of goes through his life as a private investigator, trying to solve his own setup. And he's working on this other case, and it seems like they might be intertwined. It was good. I'm probably never going to say that something that Walter Mosley wrote was bad. I absolutely love him. And I just had like a I had a self-aware moment where mysteries are not necessarily for me. Not when I'm in a state of stress, at least. Because when I'm stressed out, my brain is already doing a bunch of things. And I don't have time to be putting puzzles together. And that is all that a mystery is. So it took me a long time to get through this. Because I kept having to like go back pages and be like, who is this character, and why do we know them, and why don't we like them? Why is he punching this man in the face? I don't understand. But overall, it was a good book, and I would highly recommend it if you like mysteries, if you've never read anything by Walter Mosley, and you don't necessarily want to get sucked into a series, because he has the Easy Rawling series. If you just want something, because I believe that this is just a standalone, I would definitely say read this. Next, Call Baby. This is the book pick for my Patreon book club. Shameless plug, if you do not know, I have a Patreon. They get to pick which books we read every month, and then we have a Zoom meeting. They get almost all of my content early when I am like on my ish and pushing out content at a timely manner. They get everything early. They have a lot more access to me, so on and so forth. So the link is in the underneath bar if you would like to join the Patreon. This is a good book. Now, trigger warning. It does talk about child loss. It does go into detail about a woman losing her child. But once you get past that part of the book, it is very, very interesting. I highly recommend this book. If you are into magic and fantasy, if you're into hoodoo, if you're into any of those kind of things, I think you'll really, really enjoy this book. I feel like this book is culturally rich. The characters are relatable. Morgan's style of writing, I really, really like. And I'm very, very interested to see what other fiction she writes. I think she has some nonfiction out that I haven't read. But I'm very, very, like, this has made me a fan. I really put her up there with Jesmyn Ward, with her writing style. If you like that dark academia, like, fantasy, sad, deep kind of books, this is for you. I really, really, really enjoyed that. Then we have the books that were the book club picks for November. So we have Blackbirds in the Sky by Brandy Colbert. This book where do I begin? So Blackbirds in the Sky is about the Tulsa race massacre of 1921. And this book changed my perspective on nonfiction a lot. So I don't usually read nonfiction because as a Black woman, reading, it's depressing, okay? And it makes me angry to know that my people had to go through all of this stuff and there really were no consequences. Like we suffered through all of it, from every angle of it, from every aspect, we suffered. So it's hard for me to read nonfiction. Whereas it's a little bit easier for me to read a fiction based on maybe the Tulsa race massacre or based on slavery or whatever, because there's a little bit of me that's just like, okay, it's based on fact, but this particular character is not real. This world that they're in is not necessarily real. It's based on something. Like, it's a little bit more tangible for me that way. Reading this made me realize all of the things that I don't know. So if you want to see my like in-depth, in detail review of this, the live is saved on the Instagram page at Shelby in the Bookstore. I did a live book discussion with Jimmy of Jimmy and the Model, aka the husband of Lola Bean Larnco, Lola's dad, Adela's husband, my brother, Jimmy Colvin. He is phenomenal. I look up to him for a lot of reasons. The way that he loves my sister, the father that he is, the man that he is. But one of the things that I admire about him is how smart Jimmy is. Like, he knows a lot about a little bit of everything. And he's really, really knowledgeable when it comes to history. And that is something that I know what I have to know. I knew what I needed to know to pass tests. So I really wanted him to have the conversation with me because he's really, really knowledgeable. And it was an amazing conversation. But I learned a lot in this book that I did not know. And when I say that this changed my perspective about nonfiction, it changed my perspective because I need to be reading nonfiction more. There is a lot about our history that I do not know. There are a lot of things that it's just like, I don't know the why behind some of these things. And maybe if we knew the why, right? If we knew why some of these things started, how they happened, so on and so forth, we can go forward about preventing them in the future. It also kind of rang true for me about it just being like, we talk a lot about white people having to learn the history and unlearn things and so on and so forth, but there's a lot of things that we need to learn too, because one of the things that I mentioned in this book was how like there are a lot of people unaccounted for because they either disappeared, they were killed, or they moved and they never told what happened. Like, they moved and just changed their life, you know, possibly changed their name, so on and so forth. And listen, in the Black community, don't you go out and tell nobody your business about nothing, okay? We don't talk about trauma. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about anything, really, okay? Because it's nobody's business. So it's just like, I feel like from on both ends of it, there's a lot that we all don't know, and it's uncomfortable for all of us. It's uncomfortable for all of us. So I highly recommend this. It is a YA book. It is something that I would say you should read with your kids because the knowledge needs to be known. Point blank, period. The knowledge needs to be known. This was phenomenal. The other book, I'm showing y'all the back of the book. The other book that we read was My Monticello. So the reason that I wanted to read Blackbirds in the Sky and My Monticello in the same month is because they both are about race massacres. I don't really know what the purpose of this book was. I did my live discussion on it. It's saved on the Instagram page if you would like to go watch it. And I kind of talked about how is it relatable in a sense? Is the writing good? Yes. Would I recommend that people read it? Yes. But I feel like I'm not even really going to call it trauma porn because it's not trauma porn. I just feel like books like this should have an underlying purpose, right? Like, is this a cautionary tale? Is this to show how hard it is for Black people in general in life? Is this to show that we are not far removed from something like this happening? Is this to show that it's hard to be a Black woman? Is this to show, like, what was I supposed to take from this book? Because when I read books like this, right, when you read books that are about racism, that are about the trials and tribulations that Black people go through, there is a point, there is a takeaway. And I don't think that I took anything really away from this. It didn't really tell me anything that I didn't know as far as like what life is like as a Black woman for Black people. And I don't know. But would I recommend you read it? Absolutely. I just feel like maybe adult show. Well, I am an adult. Even though I feel like if I had a baby right now, I'd feel like a teen mother. But older Shelby, right? Shelby with children may take this differently. Shelby with a husband may take this differently. Shelby, I just don't know. I feel like I'm going to have to read this again eventually. And then maybe I'll get it. Because I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand. But that brings us to the end of this video, baby. Those are all the books that I read in the month of November. And yeah, they were all good. I would recommend them all to you. Let me know in the comments, how many books did you read in November? How's it going? We are in the last month of the year. How much farther do you have to go in for your reading goals? I want to know all of those things down below. And by the time you see this, we should be a couple of days into Vlogmas. So are you watching Vlogmas? Are you enjoying Vlogmas? If no one has told you today, I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.